All right. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for making time and tuning in. We are airborne right now on Radio Culture. Today, if you're tuning in with us right now, we are attending we're listening to the lecture, the bi-weekly lecture from the Rastafari Council of Ghana. Today's topic is Rastafari and party politics, Rastafari and party politics. And our speaker for today is Ras Kwasi Anokye. Most of us know him as Seven Fireside. So, without much ado, we're going to be putting some music in the background. And as soon as the lecture proper starts, we'll cross over and connect with the Rastafari Council of Ghana Education Committee bi-weekly lecture. Thank you very much. And thanks once more for being a valued listener audience of radio culture.
Try everything they want on earth. Everything night. Jaja, Jaja, baby, why you watch your way? Make you so wicked, Babylon. What make you so wicked to black man? Make you so wicked, Babylon. What make you so wicked to black man? So many years ago, we were living here at home, and you came with your Bible in hand, saying you come to free black man. And then you take away we culture, and then you rob with we language, and then you take away we diamond, and then you let us in bondage. Our children as refugees, and our souls in rampage. We we're one. We are one.
Sounds of Black Prophet in the background. Wicked Babylon, he calls that one. We're still waiting for the lecture to start. Topic is Rastafari and party politics.
And now we're living in a strange land.
And as soon as the lecture starts, we'll be crossing over
Make you so wicked.
to the forum, Rastafari Council of Ghana Education Committee.
What make you so wicked?
The speaker for today is Ras Kwasi Anokye.
Make you
Stand by.
wicked, Babylon. What make you so wicked to black man? Sardines. Women, men, and children in Elimina castles to the dust of no returns.
Of always trying to catch up with the world, let's stimulate creative thinking. So the essence here is to stimulate creative thinking. And we give thanks for everyone who has joined us tonight. This is also aired live on Radio Culture by Jah Beloved, and we give thanks for that. Tonight's topic is Rastafari and party politics, and it will be led by Ras 7 Fireside, who we also know as Kwasi Anokye. So, my lords, I will say welcome again. I'll hereby grant the stage to the presenter to take us through the reasoning. So, once again, give thanks for once and all. My lord, please take over.
Thank you, Russ. Kofi Asante. Appreciate this. From top, we have to give thanks to Daddy B for making this happening. We have to give thanks to Ras Ejo for making sure that everything is documented and making sure that we have the visuals, the promo going on, and everything else you're doing, man. Website, everything to make this happen. I really want to give thanks to my brethren, Jah Beloved. I like how you reach out to me and say, hey, what's going on, man? We're supposed to be working together, appreciate that. Can't thank you enough, my brethren, for that. This topic about Rastafari and party politics. I want to take it from the angle of Rastafari and party politics. We go kind of like zoom into the Ghana situation, but we're trying to look at it from us as Rastafari perspective for the most part. Maybe we can start with a question. Are we Rastafari who happen to be Ghanaian? Or are we Ghanaian who happen to be Rastafari? And we're both. But I'm trying to emphasize the fact here that we have to look at all this with the Rastafari lens, or with Rastafari lenses, But of course, this whole thing, I want to keep it short and tight so that we can have a solid discussion after that. So this is how it all started, Brethren started speaking seriously about a sort of neglect, the idea that we had not been political for a while. And that's why people started getting into Ghana's party politics. Like I'm saying, let's start thinking of it in terms of the Rastafari in the world situation. Brethren, and I'm sure Sistren noticed that the economy was in bad shape, as always, right? Never had a break. So people are like, we have to get into politics so we can end corruption. People talk about the environment being messed with. Basically, our patrimony wealth inherited from our ancestors is being messed with. Bad governance, incompetence, in terms of, governance. Conditions are worsening. So we have to become political in that sense. So for some of us, it really threw it off. for us because some of us always thought we're political, right? So as soon as we hear terms like non-political, it's hard for us to make sense of it, because we think what Rastafari stands for, all the activism, right? If we're trying to defend law, so fighting for ganja legalization, all that, Black liberation, Black unity, everything Rastafari stands for is political. So what do the brethren mean by we have been non-political, or it's time to get into politics? And I think they're reading where they come to for an IBC. Brethren are talking about representational politics. They want to get in there and deal directly with governance of the nation state. And it's a serious move, and we have to take that. We have to think about what that means, and that's the purpose of this reasoning. But before we get into that aspect, I want us to just scan the history quickly and see how Rasta people have engaged with nation states politics, because this is not really new. And of course, first up would be Jamaica. Like 63 years ago, there's a Rasta man called Ras Brown. He was intellectual up in Jamaica. For the most part, self-taught. He didn't spend too much time in academic institutions. So this is 1961. We're speaking. He ran for political office. West Kingston. He wanted a seat in Parliament. As an independent candidate. The party was the Black Man's Party. So I did hear some noise for the back there. If you cut that, please.
Yeah, Ken, please. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. So so his party was the Black Man's Party. It doesn't mean that he won the seat, but the move was a move he was making to engage with nation state politics. Very interesting. It was a very interesting period because the Jamaican government was trying to kind of like neutralize the bite of Rastafari. They realized Rastafari was a force. We already know that Rastafari is not majority in Jamaica, but Rastafari has always been a force. And some of us will argue it's because of Haile Selassie, because he's the power of true unity. So even if there's only one Rastafari, it's everything. So as the Rastafari movement developing, the Jamaican government take note. First, they try to crush it, they couldn't. So they try to see how they go absorb it into their arrangement. So maybe some of us have heard of the Rastafari, the report of Rastafari released in 1960, where basically they play a little trick on us to define Rastafari. They said they were introducing Rastafari to the people. And then when the other schemes that went with it, so they're like national intelligence people, right? I think Ghana will call it the CID or something along those lines, or, national intelligence. I'm not sure if CID is what applies, They had a program to find a way to divide Rasta people. So they started coming up with this narrative around this report, where they start talking about their religious Rasta people and their political Rasta people. And they made the political Rasta people look like they were not, like they were a problem. And unfortunately, some of us Rasta people started using that language, like, oh yeah, I'm non-political. But the idea came from that campaign to divide us. So Rasta has always been political, but suddenly some of us that say, oh yeah, I'm a religious Rasta, I don't care for politics. But Sam Brown had made a move right into the mix. He was in the lion's den, so to speak. Now let's fast forward to the 1970s and 80s, where we see reggae musicians working with the PNP in Jamaica, the People Party, which had some socialist leanings, which means that they were prioritizing the needs of the people, at least in theory, compared to people who prioritize a political party prioritize the needs of business. Let's make money first. So because of the socialist leaning, there was a lot of reggae musicians, or Rastafari people, who were willing to see what they could do with that organization. Maybe similar to what some Rasta people are trying to do with the NDC right now. What are some of the things that happened? The government at that time, the party, which was led by Michael Manley, tried to reach out to Bob Marley because he was one of the better known Rastas. And they asked them to put on a show. Actually they wanted it on their turf. And Bob was like, nah, man, we're going to do this thing. We're going to have to bring it out to a turf for the whole nation, national stadium if possible. So Bob put down his terms right there. And they decided on a Smile Jamaica concert for 1976. What happened was 2 days before the concert, people from the other party came through and agents of the other party came through and tried to assassinate Bob. We all heard about Bob Marley getting shot, right? So he survived and he went ahead and performed, did the Smile Jamaica thing, but he had to leave town for 2 years. He came back and did the One Love 1978 another concert for the similar purpose. Now we can discuss the economics and the politics of that if necessary, but I think that's not the focus of this thing. So he comes back and he does that. Now people look at it from a distance and say, well, but Marley was, Rasta people were part of the party politics in Jamaica. But the truth is, I mean, I've read things where they say Peter Tosh was a supporter of the PNP. We all know that Peter Tosh never will support any party, right? You see what he can do with the party, right? Because if the party call him to come and perform, they'll say, yeah, right? And then they'll say, oh yeah, you're part of this party. The same thing was said about Bob. Bob put it out real clear. He said he's neither for the government or the opposition. And it sounds very much like how Rastafari stand, as a body. But then fast forward to the 90s, late 90s in New Zealand, there's a brother. I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce some names. So maybe I'm not going to pronounce it right, but for the purpose of reasoning, the brethren be Nandor Tangsas, for New Zealand, Rastaman. He run for parliament, got a seat on parliament, and he was pushing for ganja legalization and prison reform too. In terms of he had he was pushing a concept called the clean slate, where if you went to prison, we have this general thing when you go to prison and you come out of prison, they will say, because of your record, yeah, this and that, right? Your chances are limited. And he was fighting for a clean slate for people who went to jail on certain charges, for, I don't want to say certain crimes, because a lot of times what they charge you with may not be what you've done, But yeah, so he was pushing for that. So I'm just we're trying to get a sense of the things rest of people have done within the orbit of party politics. And he was fighting against GM foods too, genetically modified foods. So we're realizing that Rasta has a scope. Actually, he was working with the Green Party, but initially was working with another party, but actually he started working with the Green Party. We get a sense of the scope of the thing, what Rastafari represents. The Green Party, of course, was the ruling party. Then in 2011, from between 2011 and 2019 in Jamaica, a Dreadlocks brother, I can't say for sure, but people say he's Rasta affiliated, so we'll consider that. His name be Damian Crawford. Maybe some of us know him. He became a senator in Jamaica, and he was one of the people who supported the bill to not force Rasta people, Rasta students, to cover their locks. He had an interesting run in there too. He actually became a shadow minister for education, and it's been said it was Minister of Tourism. I don't know too much about that, but that's an indicator right there. The possibilities was that Rasta was in the mix and doing things, if that's what we're going to take from that. But definitely in Africa, Burkina Faso, Ras Karim Samia, some people call him Sims K. Leja, he's a reggae musician. I want to just call him a musician. Radio host, doing some serious stuff. It's Rastafari, Hail Haile Selassie. Some call him a Sankarist too, and I think any Rastafari will appreciate Sankara, right? So it's obvious that he had more than just being oppositional, but people associate him mainly with the 2014 rebellion or ouster of our man, what's his name, Bless Compaore, the man who is responsible for the overthrow of, or at least who took over after Sankara. So this, our brother Sims K. Leja was one of the main forces in that campaign that was able to kick him out of power. And that guy had been in power for a while, and he was easy guy to deal with. And then we go another step and we look at Uganda. We all know about Bobby Wine. It is associated with opposition. He's a reggae musician, but he plays his own kind of sounds too. He ran for parliament, and then later he became the National Unity Platform presidential candidate. Run for president in 2019. Much of what we hear from him is trying to get rid of Museveni, because he's been around for a long while. So people categorize him more as an oppositional figure. But of course, I'm sure there's other things he stands for. So let's leave some room for that. And Kenya, we've heard of George Wajakoya with his Roots Party of Kenya. Initially tried to run in 2012. He announced he was going to run and then he withdrew. And in 2022, he ran for president. This platform was basically about economics, you know. So now we'll talk about those who are known for opposition, but we're talking about another. We're just going to look at two examples of Rastas in party politics who are looking primarily at economics here. At least that's what they're associated with. So he had very interesting ideas, like legalize the ganja, of course. He's trying to solve the poverty problem. He's trying to solve the national debt problem. And then he had other angles, like, you know, they're going to export dog meat, you know, because he says it costs more than the regular meat, you know, so Kenya will make some more money and will help them get out of poverty. And then he also had an idea for farming, harvesting snake venom. He said that too could be exported, you know. So he's coming up with his own ideas about how to deal with the economic situation. And then in Gambia, 2021, there was a brother called Bankole Yao Jojo Ahaji. Now I'm pronouncing it like I'm from Ghana, Ahaji. But I don't know how to pronounce it in Gambia, so please forgive me. People know him as Banky. He ran for president as an independent candidate, and he was also focused on finances, economics, you know, and he was pushing the ganja thing, like we could make a lot of money off of this. In an interview, very this 21st century, right, 2021, and everybody's asking him about your hair. Are you going to cut your hair if you become president? Right? This is 21st century. It tells you a lot about where we're at right now, you know. African people have been talking about how can you have locks and run for president, you know. So in the same interview, he said something along the lines of basically, why are you doing this? And he says, well, we can sit aside, rest of people can sit aside and just sing songs about oppression, right? Sing songs about corruption, about bad situation. And then you could also choose to run for office and change it. So basically, it's along the lines of what's motivating this new trajectory, this new direction that Rastafari people are going in terms of party politics. You know, like we can sit aside and, you know, not really engage, and then this is engagement right here. So speaking of that, let's go to Ghana now. Ras Mubarak, MP of Kumbungu, if I'm saying it right. Yeah. He, from 2017 to 2021, you know, seriously doing this thing there as a Ras, right? We had a pleasure of vibing with him on Radio Culture. Job Beloved, give thanks for that. Yeah, it's very interesting. One thing that struck me was his interest in youth. And I think that's a crucial thing when thinking of nation-state politics, or even just the idea of a nation-state or politics in general. Most of the older people get used to what we're used to and we don't think fresh starts. Unfortunately, when we bring youngsters on board too, we try to teach them the old ways and try to make them experts in the old ways. But we have to create some room for them to come up with their own imaginative ideas, their creative ideas. But appreciate his emphasis on youth. He's doing some serious work with youth in an official capacity too. And then we know he fought for the ganja legalization thing. He complained that he wasn't getting enough support from the Rastafari body in Ghana. You know, said, for instance, he was saying that at least Rasta people could have been there to be observers, you know, while the, what do they call it, deliberations were going on. He also says, he said something very interesting. He said, if only we had more Rastas in parliament, we probably could have achieved more. He was alone in the den of, whatever we want to call him, And there was very little we could do. And let's also remember that Rasta people started pushing for the legalization of ganja for us to be able to blaze it and use it freely. And it turned out to be basically it was co-opted. It became something that had to do with industrial hemp and all these other things where other interests took over. And going by what he's saying, or our own lessons we've learned from it, we could have controlled the narrative and done things that would, of course, it's not over, right? We can learn from that and see what we do next. And kept it on the issue of let's legalize the ganja so we can smoke it. We can burn the ganja because Rasta, and then we can think of those other things, industrial and other things too. But primarily, what's motivating us is the legalization of marijuana. Okay, so for us to blaze. So quickly, Black Rasta, he's another brethren who we can say is political, very political, and he engages with party politics thing, the conversation. He's always getting in the mix as far as I know, and he's always heightening the awareness of people in terms of the political history of African Black people. So we think of him seriously alongside my brethren Jah Beloved, who's doing some very serious work too. He never unflinching, as I want to describe. So these brothers, two brothers, are doing some profound work in that area, engaging with the politicians, getting your point across. In a sense, they're performing the traditional role of journalism, before the state of government, something like that. Holding politicians accountable, and speaking truth to power. Then we can talk about the NDC Rastafari caucus, or is it NDC Rasta caucus, which is basically as far as I know, I'm glad to learn from those who are actually involved in it. And if I say anything that's not right, hey, please correct me. But as far as I know, it's an interest group, or it's supposed to be an interest group, a pressure group that comes in to fight for. This morning I saw some reasoning on the thread, from Ras Kwasi, and I noticed some of the things he mentioned. They're fighting for their constituency in the first place, fighting for job opportunities, farming opportunities, to be able to call shots or influence decisions in the area of creative arts. They want to elevate the arts center. They want to push tourism and culture. Access to jobs for Rastafari. I noticed that also some of the initial things that the caucus was pushing, the fact that Rastas were being left out of the job market, right? So they were trying to get that right. And the idea was to get involved with the party, so that, as Rasmal was saying, is the rights of brothers and sisters and children in the faith are what you're trying to defend, That's why they're in there. And there was an interesting exchange in there. There was another brethren, Russ Michael, who actually said, hey, we got to be careful. We don't get mixed up in, and Russ Molly was like, yeah, we already know that it will never happen. This is just some people who are choosing to join to work with the NDC. I don't know, maybe join the NDC. But that's the interesting dynamic that we can talk about after this, But all of this is basically in the space of democracy, right? We're trying to think about democracy. I'll just make two quick points, and then we talk about. We just make a conclusion so we can start the discussion. So we talk about one thing that always comes up is Kwame Nkrumah was political, so why are we not political? Haile Selassie was political, so why are we not political? For the people that don't pushing the idea of engaging with nation-state party politics. But as a distinction, though, these guys, both of these people we're talking about, did not engage in party politics as we know it now, like multi-party politics. Nope. Kwame Nkrumah started out as part of the UGCC, right? Set up the CPP, right? And next thing we know, looking at the situation, you're bringing up ideas and people just shoot it down because they just don't agree with you, not because of what you're talking about. And all the problems, the attacks on his life, even before 1957, like in 1955, sitting on his veranda, a bomb goes off. They try to kill him already. And right after that, another one goes off that same day. Right? Can you imagine going through that? And there were two more attempts on his life. And there were a lot of bombings in town, right? There were assassination attempts. There were a lot of, things where did it happen where he couldn't tolerate the multi-party thing. He didn't have that kind of disposition at all. This is a man where a time prime minister, they ask him, say, hey, don't you think you need a deputy prime minister? I say, well, you think I'm too old? You think I'm so old that I need a deputy, right? So this is someone who's very precious about what he's doing. He doesn't want to mix it up and dilute it and have to go through so many things in the name of democracy, right? Does Western democracy have the luxury of going through that? But in his view, no, I want to handle everything direct. He needed time too. So all these limited terms of office and all that was a secondary thought to him. It's going to be problematic. There was no freedom of press. Matter of fact, people started having some newspapers in the country. He started pushing the idea that can we absorb them? Once they didn't have the message that he thought was relevant to the project that he was working on, he wanted to, engage them and absorb them into the project he was working on. And when that was not possible, the idea was to shut them down, So I'm just saying all this to say that democracy means something else to someone like Kwame Nkrumah. And he wasn't tolerating the multi-party thing at all. He was like, multi-party politics just divides the people. Some of us would say parts the people. The problems of campaign promises and all that. He wasn't going to stand for that at all. And then let's talk about His Imperial Majesty Rastafari, because it's because of him that we're Rasta, right? I can't say I'm Rasta, but I'll check out His Majesty later. This is what I want to do. It's because of Selassie that we got the clouds where we got. It's because of Selassie we get a respect where we got. Selassie we get all the power where we got, right? If Rasta is attractive to the world, it's because of Selassie, right? If Rasta is meaningful, if we take us seriously, it's because of Selassie. So we got to anchor it on King Selassie. In the reasoning with an Italian journalist, Lorena Selassie, the lady come up with ideas about democracy. There's no democracy. Like she's saying, there's no democracy in Ethiopia. And he's trying to contrast democracy and republics with monarchy, having a king. And using all these words, Selassie say, well, he doesn't see any difference between all these words. So basically, he's rejecting their categories, which we must be doing too, in just about every area, actually. But that's another topic. So he says he doesn't see anything new, any improvements that this democracy has brought in the world, including the West. That's what it's implying. But he just said he doesn't see anything. He called it illusions. He had done a lot of things to democratize Ethiopia, right? He wrote a constitution and said he wants to share power with the people, right? There was this noble people who were mainly the decision makers. Selassie started introducing more non-noble people, and at the end of the day, he had more non-noble people deciding on national affairs in that parliament. So I don't want to go down the list of what Selassie do in terms of governing by the people or governing with the people, But basically, he's telling us to rethink these ideas that we just accept, that this is how government has to be, this is how democracy's got to be, and this is what we got,
Please help me with your muting, I try muting, but it's not working. Okay, Kim, you can go ahead now.
Yes. Thank you, So yeah, by the end of the day, serious problems. As we know, economics in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, Haile Selassie's Ethiopia was not sweet. At the end of the day, that's something we got to admit, and that's something I like to talk about in a quick second. Economics as is designed to keep us in check, no matter how independent or how free we are. It's designed by other forces. So let's just dash into that real quick. So Kwame Nkrumah, when he was fighting for Ghana's independence, he said things like, let's seek the political kingdom first. And he fought hard and got that. And then he says, yeah, then after that, we're going to create an economic paradise. And he did everything he could to realize that economic paradise. But market forces wouldn't allow that, to put it mildly. Political forces in the world. They have the policy in the West. Someone like Nixon put in a very concise way. He said, let the economy scream as soon as they don't disagree with us, right? And Nkrumah was not agreeing with them. So definitely they'll do whatever they can to sabotage the economy. right? That's not a conversation we can have. I want to just go through this real fast. I was going to make it short. Kutua Champon, J.J. Rawlings, firing squad, high, and all those things. The purpose was to end corruption and better the economy. But at the end of the day, people were saying Jerry was also corrupt, or at least his regime was corrupt, right? It's what. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Sorry about the noise. So Kutua Champon was actually executed because of corruption in their project. But when you started out, the idea was to make the economy better. Everyone, Kufuor, Mills, Mahama, Akufo-Addo, each one talks about making the economy better. Are we saying that we are so inept, or maybe are we overlooking the idea that economics, that what happens with economics is not really in our hands? And I'd love very much for us to get into that. That's not to say we got to spare the corrupt politicians. We got to kick their butts. We got to fight them. We got to rough them up. We got to anything if we discredit them, all those things, burn them, whatever. You know what I mean? It needs to be punished. They got to go to jail, whatever. Let's get it done. But let's also face the fact that after all that, it's not going to fix our economy, really. If we really love our people, right, we have to start thinking of other ways of thinking of our economies. And there are people who already talk, like with reasoning with Prof. Amateur the other day, and it was already coming up with ideas that people are working with. So we'll talk about that, moving away from an economy that has to be so dependent on money as we know it, because that is hooked to the Western gains, whether we like it or not. I can make as much money as I want, but it's not going to change our people's situation. We as a collective can make as much money as we want. It's not going to change Africa's situation. Let's just face it and start to think about other ways. As the Britain was saying, let's be more creative and imaginative. Actually, Selassie to say, the creator, right? So Africa ways as creators. It means we have to think about other ways of doing things. So yeah, quickly, let's go into, so this idea of economics, we've been looking at it, and sometimes people are like, hey, capitalism is the way. Just let's just do some capitalism because that seems to be working, right? Compared to socialism. Some people will be like, yeah, let's get into socialism. And then we take external meanings, yeah? But we're overlooking the fact that really, if we say we're going to do socialism, we're assuming that we're part of the human community, that we can be taken seriously, we can be listened to. Well, history has proven that the African voice is not really listened to. Let's just accept that too. Or we're going another 20, 30 years before we learn that lesson. We're in a different kind of space, so maybe we have to think about this things quite differently. Right now, it looks like good governance. It's because we did everything stuck on money. It looks like good governance just got to do with learning how to, as one brother was talking about the situation in Jamaica, and I think it applies to all of us, learning how to manage the IMF money what they give us. That's what it means, because they own the money, right? In Nkrumah's time, it was straight up England that owned the money. So we're collecting money for that thing we call Gold Coast money, Ghana money. It was their money, right? We can talk about that, We look at the gold in the land and we say we're rich. True, the land is rich. But who gives value? Who decides value? Really, it's not us. We talk about the gold, the cocoa, the oil. That's to change our situation. Nigeria has us. Is it just corrupt politicians? No, we got to think a little farther than that. That's a problem. I'm not saying that it's not caused by corrupt politicians, but there's something else going on that I think I'll argue that we are not addressing. And we got so much genius amongst us where we have to start thinking, man, how can we say the hell with this thing and come up with something? We're always trying to say, hey, they have 1,000 oranges, they give us 100, we're fighting over it, and Kojo Mensah is taking 4 of the oranges instead of taking just one. And I'm upset with Kojo Mensah. And if I beat him and punish him, I feel I've done something. And at the end of the day, we're still they give us very, very little options. So back to the thing, let's not forget that if we have gold in our land, that does not necessarily make you wealthy, because they decide the value of that gold. And they can play all sorts of games. I don't want us to talk to, but look at the Congo. Congo is the richest spot we can think of for the most part. But look at how life has been. We can't just fault it on bad governance, but that's another story. So basically, the conclusion that I want to come to, I'm tapping up ideas like what I read this morning and the post they exchanged between Michael and Ras Kwasi. Rastafari is, in a sense, like non-aligned, essentially. we should be able to, otherwise we're supporting soccer teams, right? I'm a Kotoko supporter, so no matter what, there's Kotoko, right? But this is more serious than that, right? We should know that either party or both parties can do good. So what do we do when the party we're against does something good? We should work with that. You know, that's something not too long ago, and enough respect to that man right there. He was in a reasoning, and he was saying that some people complain that why is he working with some particular regime in Ghana, and he was, humble voice, a deep thinker. He was like, he's willing to work with any government, to improve the lives of his people, and I think that's where Rastafari stand. Actually, my first reasoning in a meeting with the brethren too, I heard one brethren, I think, Coach Ras Jabi, he said a similar thing. I remember that very well. He said, we have to work with any regime in Ghana. That's what I got from it. I'm not quoting it word for word, but basically made up. And I know a lot of us think about that, right? Instead of saying this is my party and I'm going to support them and I don't know what's going on there, because I know that I've heard that and I'm sure I know this is true. There's rest of people on both sides of this of this competition between the red, black, and green and the red, white, and blue parties, right? We should know immediately that it's a kind of game. But what happens when the other side does it? That's my question. That's something that you're looking for. It deserves our support. Doesn't mean you're supporting the party. You're supporting the project. Okay. But one thing, my brethren, Raswiro, Dr. Kojo Ponwadia said the other day on the reasoning, which stuck with me, was a movement. Do we have a robust movement? Or better, let me put it this way: we have to have a robust movement. What is the nature of a robust movement? That can be a resource for, let's say, the NDC, Rasta caucus, right? So they're not over there trying to do something, and it's like it's not well grounded in a collective kind of agenda. You know what I mean? And that's very likely to happen. So we need a movement. And now, actually, still coming from Professor Ponwadia, he came up with some interesting idea. I think in another conversation, it was like, there's a need to build alliances where all the forces in the country that have analogous or similar agendas as Rasta. They don't have to be Rasta, but if they're defending something, we're defending. If they're trying to promote something, we're promoting. It's important to build solid alliances with them, not to become them, right? But when it comes to the whole thing, Celestia always says that let's see what we can do together. I cannot be you, you cannot be me. But the unity is about what can we do together. So building that's where the power comes in. Like Celestia, the power of the true unity. Yeah. The power comes from the people, the collective, and the ability to coalesce, work with other people, combine our energies, and push it. So I'm gonna cut it there. I know I went way beyond the point, the limit I gave myself. So I want to cut it there and see if we have enough to work with. Love to hear what the brethren have to say, the sisters have to say. Let's build on this. Enough respect.
She made a promise as a child. She never broke her rights.
Yeah, so now can we reason on these things, discuss these things? You can come from any angle. If there's anything I said that you want to critique or you want to modify, please go ahead. If you have fresh ideas we haven't thought of, if you want to extend something, please.
You're still listening to the lecture by Ras Kwasi Anokye on Rastafari and Party Politics. It's question time now. Question and comment time. We're going to cut right back in there. Please stay tuned with us.
Members here listening to you have comments, questions, suggestions, or inputs that they would like to make. So at this time, I will open the floor for once, my lords and empresses. I see some empresses here. We appreciate their presence. It's delightful having them around. So please, if anybody has a comment, suggestion, you can come in. Prof. Wiro, you want to come in?
Radio, culture. Wiro, we can't hear you.
Please, Rasejo, Adamai, can you unmute your mic?
Radio.
Yo, Rastafari. Rastafari. This is Ras Michael. Yes, sir. Yes, Ras Michael. Yeah, please, am I audible? Yes, sir. All right. So here's my issue. I like the angle of me playing this neutrality role when it comes to political perspectives. Neutrality role in the sense that if Party A brings something that we see will promote our agenda, we hang on with it. If Party B brings something that we feel it will better our cause, we hang on with it. But my problem is where we hear NDC, Rasta Caucus, NPP, Rasta Caucus, CPP, Rasta Caucus. If we are prefixing the Rasta with political abbreviations, with political names, it will get to a time that one political party will see us as leaning towards the other 120%, and the other we are leaning towards maybe 50%. So my point is that the point I was making this morning was that yes, let us start from whatever they have for us, but we must not be prefixing. I just hello. Can hear you, brother.
We can hear you, King. Continue. We can hear you loud and clear.
My fear is prefixing political names before Rasta comes. So we are Rastafarians. So we are Rastafarians. The issue of bringing NDC caucus, NPP caucus, that one caucus is what my problem is. Other than that, from all the explanations that our speaker has done, I agree totally. Because the literature that I've read about Rastafarian, the things that I've read about the Rastafarianism, it is always a movement that is somehow apolitical. When I say somehow apolitical, in the sense that the main anchor of Rastafarianism, it is sort of fighting for freedom. It is revolutionary. It is not political. There's a difference between being revolutionary and being political. And being revolutionary means you are fighting for a right or something that will improve your cause. So when I hear NDC caucus, NPP caucus, it frightens me. I wish we can have Rasta, not any abbreviations, not any name attaching to it. This is Rasta. Okay, you can choose to be with NPP, I can choose to be with NDC, but it's Rasta. The name should stand as Rasta. That is what I think about it. So I'll pause here, then I'll come back. Thank you so much. Rastafari.
Rastafari, give thanks.
Selassie.
Can I just say one quick before Deb Love, because Deb Love, I want to give you a lot of space to. Russ Michael, totally, man, I agree with you all the way, except when you say that apolitical or revolutionary fighting for rights makes us non-political, because that is political too, right? Mau Mau was revolutionary, political.
everything Rasta stands for is political, but maybe the things that we're limiting our understanding of what political means. I think what you're saying is that nation state politics is not is a thing that is not is something that you prefer that we don't try to kind of like put ourselves too much into or like identify with and identify with our revolutionary purposes. And we could extend that to His Majesty. That's what I was trying to emphasize. We've got to play it up. Slassia is the Rastafari. Slassie's Rastafari. Let's stop looking left and right and all those kinds of things. Everything is an appendage, incidental. Let's start from there, right? And we can even appreciate those things better. So what is Slassia's approach to this thing? You know, and Slassia is political all the way. Let's face it. And Babylon even know that. And to the extent why my brother was joining the U.S. Army and he was filling out the brother said, when should I live Rastafari? They fill out the application where they ask him, say, what being religion, where go write Rastafari. That's the U.S. military. And they tell him straight, say, you can't write that over here. Because Rastafari is basically like an enemy of the state. Basically, that's what he learned. He shared this with me. That brother don't actually live Rastafari. He just grew up around Rasta people. So Rasta is political. Right, but I think we're having a too narrow understanding of what politics mean. But I appreciate what you're saying, Ras Michael. I think we're going to hear you out some more. Jah Beloved, please give it to us. Man.
Give thanks, give enough thanks. And I see Empress Sadia's hands up too. So normally I would let the Empress go first and everything. But I would like to just put this in real quick, just so you know it connects with the reason which is already out there. And I have other things to say, so I'll come back if there's more time to say a little more. But first of all, let's examine the nature of these entities that we call political parties, right? What are they? Where did they come from? What's their ideology? What's their makeup and all of that? Let's even look at the colors that they fly, right? And honestly, everything matters, to be honest with you. If you see red, white, black, and green, take the white out, please. But you see, it tells you something versus red, white, and blue. I'm just saying, whatever you do with what I'm saying, you do with it. But I'm just saying. Number two, we know the history of Rastafari in Ghana. We know that a certain Jerry Rawlings set out to look out for Rasta people. We can't lose sight of that. Versus another party, and what are the manifestation of what they have done to support Rasta people. I'm just putting these things out there so that whatever discussion we are having, we tie that in there. Because at the end of it, what is politics supposed to achieve? It's supposed to make my life better. So if we have two parties, of course, I agree with the brethren that spoke. We don't want to too much, because the thing is, Rastafari is broad. Not everybody would think along the lines of what the NDC speaks along, right? For instance, we, like Ras said, Eyahine and all these things. If you have family that went through an episode, a certain period of trauma during that time, it's hard for you to turn around and say, hey, I support NDC because they are flying red, black, and green. It's hard. So we can't box everybody and say Rastafari is going this way. But let's think about it in those broader terms. Because if you are talking politics, then what we are saying is that we are looking at what these things or these entities represent. If I have a party that is thinking of me to the point where they will give me a piece of land and support my farmers cooperative, give us a house at Airport Residential and all of that, coming down all the different things that have been done, right? Versus a party that doesn't have much to show for it. And even the people that we hold in high esteem, Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, what did this party do to Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? They bombed him. I think all those things matter. I just put these things out there. Let's all factor those things in. I'll come back later to make my actual points. Thank you very much. Give thanks.
It'll be great to finish. Yes, one Empress wanted to come in. So let's take the Empress and then maybe we can get a response from the presenter.
Radio, culture.
Please unmute your mic and proceed.
Sorry. Okay. I thought you had muted me over there. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sister.
Claire, we can hear you.
Okay. Before I come in with my own view, I mean my points. The speaker has brought out very important and relevant issues here, as far as history of politics and democracy. I think that for the discussion to even flow more, can we define what politics and democracy, what do we mean by these things? Then we can flow along with it. So that's my suggestion.
You want me to do that? Or someone else will
Yes,
do that? Okay, so I'm thinking of politics simply as what people do together to make life more livable, just like how Jabilov has said, So you can have a club and there's politics. You can have a band, a musical band, and there's politics in there because you're deciding how to work together and make things work for you. You can have family politics. We all know that. Extended family. Too much. That's politics, right? So politics is a broad thing. And I think it's best to figuring out ways to manage yourself. You go back to the etymology, of course, that's to be tied to a city, right? Polis was the idea of a city. So we can start thinking of citizenship and all that. We can understand that. But I think it's too narrow when we stick it to that, because Rastafari was not thinking strictly in terms of those things when we started fighting for the legalization of marijuana, right? We're thinking of free the ganja for us, dreadlocks, all that. It wasn't tied to a city or the fact of citizenship. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that we're Rastafari and we need to live our lives. So Rastafari, politics for me is such a broad thing in terms of anything that a group of people do to make their lives better, to manage their existence within a particular situation or a particular polity, And then democracy is another hollow word. If you study political science, you realize they have endless definitions of democracy. Let's face it, all these categories were European created. That's why I made a point about Selassie rejecting their categories. Say, don't come and ruin our thing with your little word games. He said that to Rana Falashi in that same interview published in the Chicago Tribune, I think June 1973. She was throwing up all these words. Marcus Selassie said all these things. It's words you're playing with. So democracy itself infers government by the people for the people. Now that could mean a lot of things. Right, we all know that, right? But basically, if we use that broad concept, Selassie, in that sense, Selassie introduced the first constitution of Ethiopia to share power with the people, with the sense that it was going to be a government by the people for the people. But it takes more than just that one way. Selassie will literally go and sit in somebody's one-bedroom, chamber and hall, sit with the person in their room, and vibe with them. Go on the streets when he's supposed to be resting and interact with people to pick up. Plus, he's aware of his own. He knows what he identifies as a commoner himself. People always talk about his royalty living in the palace. So he's a royal commoner, and he talks about that too. The both is how we live. So that's democracy right there, embodied in the King of Kings. Like you embody the ideas of the people. Now that's relative because either party in the country can say they're embodying the will of the people. Those who are trying to subvert Nkrumah's projects, they said we're representing the people too in their minds. So it becomes sometimes like a semantics thing. But then we look at the results, right? And there are things we could say about Nkrumah. We look at it closely. But if nobody has anything to add, I want to throw it back to Jabilov when he said his own party banned him. Is that what you said? Jabilov.
No, I was saying that the opposition, how did they handle him? They bombed him and all that.
Oh, okay. Yes, brethren, please come in. That's Michael.
Unmute your mic, Michael.
Culture.
Am I audible, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, now you are.
Thank you so much. Now, so the purpose of reading history, of going through literature, is for you to understand what people have done in the past so that you can learn from it and move on with the movement that you associate yourself with. So when I joined this Rastafari group, I read a lot about Emperor Haile Selassie. And if you pay attention to his style of political activism, it is not like what is happening today. His political activities of revolutionizing the Rasta movement. He brings awareness to the Rasta movement. So that is different. And in fact, I have a lot of respect for you, my brother, the speaker, and all the research, the way you are taking us through all these things. I have a lot of respect for you. But when it comes to the kind of politics that His Excellency Ras Kwasi was doing, his politics was not to win power or to lord over people or to do what is happening to do. It is to bring awareness and revolutionize the Rasta movement. So this is why I am saying I am of the view, or I feel that when we are not careful as a group, thinking into this style of political activities, we may end up becoming a wing of A or B. We may, and I choose my words carefully, we may. But what I think we should do is what the speaker spoke about earlier, that we need to be neutral in a sense that we are for all. We are for all. I am afraid because the politics that we are practicing in Ghana, in Africa here, I am afraid of how political names is being associated with our name. I am afraid. And so please, I want you to highlight, and I don't know whether you have some view on that, how we can be Rasta, but benefit from the political system. How are we going to go about it? Thank you so much.
Well, Michael, me in particular, I actually see Rasta as a whole political organization on its own, seriously speaking, because as you are saying, I also feel very, very uncomfortable seeing NDC caucus of Rasta, I'm always uncomfortable. I've been looking out to see NPP caucus, but I never see NPP caucus, only NDC caucus. And they are very, very vociferous. Be as it may, I try so much to be non-aligned because I've always seen Rasta to be very, very political. If you look at how you are saying it's more of revolutionary or whatever, it's political anyway, because to me, revolution itself is also another politics in its way. And our speaker made it clear. If you cry, politics or far away, that's a more thing. It's true. Office politics is serious. I work with a lot of corporate organizations, and sometimes we show politics or corporate more. A very deadly thing. Our national state here. Seriously, private sector politics is serious, and I've seen it real. But be as it may, I face a lot of pressure. Like for instance, me in my neighborhood, there's this panic in my daughter who will say, "Daddy, you are the strongest man in the neighborhood." Why? Because everybody call on you when there's anything. Everyone will call on. Recently, there was assembly election, and it's like every contestant is trying to put my support because the day of every piano, Rasta or put you have Rasta or Rasta or, and they will try to put you. At the end of the day, we stand for the right thing. Say, if you put you I go for it. If you put you I go for it. So we having the purpose, I also have a very serious problem with it because yesterday, we bet me a papa, or bet me a bonnie, or pure bear papa bear bonnie, they say it to me. But we, our Ghana politics, if you are NPP, that's a bonnie woman to me. Papa Ninkwan say, "Woka, we end this, let's end this me here, bonia." Let me say, "Woka." Papa Ninkwan says, "Woka," and that is a problem. Me as a Rasta, I won't accept. And the Martin say, "Me a Rasta, me a politics on my own. I a political party on my own. the Pia Papa will be the Chefa, the Pia Bonnie will be people. So
thank you.
We having this NPP NDC caucus. I'm also afraid because seriously, like I see NDC caucus for Rastafari Council inside. Like I don't go join. Oh yeah,
serious point.
Like I see before, and never go join.
Yeah, we got to think about that.
The first time I meet that I asked them why NDC caucus, and then the explanation I made is very clean. Because you NPP for if you are went to your monka, we were, and I say, oh, sir, okay, and Makuma told me kakra. But on a serious note, I feel say we should stand at ourselves because maybe you'll be serious and the guys understand the assembly or my neighborhood. I know say I will get 80% votes. Yeah. Because in conforming more party we no. I'm saying no Rasta there say not say conforming political party oh yeah or play good in it there or because when him say the papa and cause with your friend or back. But I did I go anyway, your friend your woman. And that be my lifestyle. I go video on my way to come. This thing they happen. I will go attend to and family when they are me here. So to me, let's hold ourselves as our own political party since like yes, NDC NPP caucus within our organization. I'm not comfortable with the so that be my piece in the for that say.
Can I come in?
I want to comment. Son of man, please let them press touch and then you come in. I know that you must definitely.
For the speaker that just spoke, raised a lot of also very good points. So now my mind, I feel like Rasta, we should be involved with politics, as in the politics of the nation, what the NDP and people are doing, but not as as one of them, but as agents of change. Like you all already said, when we see them doing something good, we are on that side. They are doing something bad. We should be able to have that voice where we can support or criticize. So like the speaker that just spoke was saying that he's very active in his community, and if he stands for election, he can win. My concern is why not stand as a member of parliament and use that opportunity to influence your community coming from the Rastafari point of view. Here we are.
Actually, not on the MPship side because I prefer the assembly ends. And if I talk about politics, I look about the local ends.
Okay.
Yes. So
anywhere you can make an influence. Assembly, anywhere you can make an influence, because I think that we are a political party. We are and the other one revolutionary, but we are also I think we are also passive. Passive doesn't mean that we don't activate in the concerns of the country, but we are passive in the sense that our power is not very felt. We are not very heard. Like the issue of dreadlocks, they are trying to stop our children from growing dreadlocks. The smoking and all these things. We are the ones that were agitating for a long time for legalization of, the weed and so on and so forth. Now, I think, they are marketing it. They are doing all kinds of legislations. We don't even get credit for all this jailing and the beatings that we've taken, over the years. So I think that we should have a strong force where maybe in the government we can have a voice there, maybe in parliament or somewhere, like one of us was there. Can we even become members of parliament, even as, our own Rasta caucus, not NDC, not NPP, like a Rasta entity that is strong in the country where they can hear us, But to be afraid and not to join also makes us very, very weak. If something is going on, I think we should be involved. And then use that involvement to address issues that come up.
It also takes quite a lot. Another funny thing that stops some of us from getting involved with certain is that sometimes if you put yourself out on a ticket or to go for certain, people feel say, oh, so they kind of hold you with kind of, and we see how our politicians behave because on the local level, people see you say, like he goes you to it. Not to the extent say we will call Abba Beshewe. And I don't fault the masses on that because their output shows say they go to take care of themselves and not about the whole thing. That's why some of these things we sometimes hold ourselves back. But then this particular reasoning has actually hooked some senses. Also, it's a lot of time consuming. I feel you put in when you have the enough to put in, but then if you don't have, you hold back. But it's worth considering. These are some of the reasons why we sit to listen to such reasonings to change our minds and take it up from there. So thanks, ma'am. Yeah, Ken, please take up. Yes, I. Unmute your mic and speak up.
Yes, only Rastafari the first, I'm Benadam Ben Israel, known as Son and Blow City First, founder and leader of NDC Rasta Caucus. And actually, Rasta Caucus is an organization by itself, but we just affiliate with the NDC because NDC have the ideology of Marcus Butaya Garvey as his paved the way and Haile Selassie blessed it and set it for I and I. That's why we affiliate with the NDC, Yes, I work with NDC for way back from PNDC to, democracy that becomes NDC, right? Yes. And because they have the ideology of Marcus Garvey, skill acquisition, when it comes to infrastructure, they are well in infrastructure. We all know. Yes. There is nothing called MPP Rasta Caucus. There's nothing like that. If you hear something MPP Rasta Caucus, that means a copy from the Rasta Caucus that affiliate with the NDC because we choose to be with the NDC and support them in the good governance and training the youth on agriculture.
Sorry, brother, I want to ask a question.
Mike, I beg, hold on. I think we need him to go more before we ask this question. Please, we need him to go more, please. Hold on, please. Yes,
we all know politics. Politics is everywhere. Politics is in our homes, even the mansions of Rastafari is politics. I'm a Bobo Shanti, I'm a 12 tribe, I'm Naya Pindi, it's politics. What kind of politics are we doing? Party politics is the welfare of the people. How the people will, have their freedom, creating jobs, creating a lot of things that will let people be free of their self. That's what we want. And I Rastas have right to represent ourselves in parliament, and we are ready for that. Rasta have right to be a president. Why? Why are we distancing ourselves from them? The country, let's all look at how the country is going. Look at our economy. It's become a chaos. So we, the righteous people, the conscious people should sit down for our country to seek. No, we must rise, either revolution or either in a party politics. We need to rise. You see, we need to rise. That's the fight that we are fighting for. We are not fighting for this, that, and that. All right, we have two big parties in this country, MPP and NDC. Right? You can choose to be an MPP, I don't care. But me, I represent NDC and I have to support NDC to provide a good governance. You see it? Yeah. These two parties, you cannot come as a third party to clear them like that. No. It can't be possible. Little by little, you have to affiliate with one. The conscious one, that is what we affiliate with. We all know Jerry John Rawlings also takes some of ideas from Rastas. It's just Rastas that are distancing themselves from Rawlings, because he called them up front. Who are those that he called? Where are they? Did they do their things well? Let me tell you, to be honest with you, NDC respects Son of Man. I represent a policy suggestion. I never represented me alone. I contact some of the Rasta elders to bring the idea. I contact Rastafari Council. I contact a lot of, I don't want to mention those names, but they also brought their policy suggestion and I sent it. Even when you watch the 24-hour economy, you can see something like tourism, you can see like agriculture, you can see something like sanitation. Yes, I'm not waiting for the party to come and do it. You can see when you watch me in Volta region, I'm creating farming that can employ a lot of unemployment. And we started before this party will come to power. You see it. So we Rastas, we must stand on our own. If we want to create our own political party, I'm ready to support that. But in this time, I'm not going enough to have my own political party. That's why I affiliate with the NDC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Son of Man.
Yes, my Lord. Rastafari.
Son of Man.
Yes. My Lord, please, I wanted to express also my position on the matter, hearing, the views and presentation. What my position is that Rastas are constitutional. Yes, as Rastas, we respect the Constitution. The Constitution makes rules for freedom of association. So for me, my understanding is every Rasta man can associate him or herself with any group he or she deems fit. And party, for instance, if you look at the contribution of Ras Mubarak to the Rastafari movement, we can say he took a unique position and contributed. It's like gave a certain essence to the Rasta community in Ghana. When somebody called Ras was in parliament, by presenting the Rasta image as worthy of being in parliament, he also took, whenever there are issues that affect the Rasta movement, he took a Rasta position. For instance, the issue of herbs, dreadlocks, and what have you, he defended Rasta. And like he was saying, if there are more Rastas within, that is more hands making the work light. But I also think that irrespective of the divide, whether party A or party B, Rastas should not be limited. For instance, before the previous election, one parliamentarian mentioned, hey, there is the NDC's Rasta caucus. Where is the MPP Rasta caucus? And I think that is where we must commend our brothers for organizing and gaining recognition in the political front. So if the NPP, and then one thing that happened also was, I think some of our members in MPP also came out to endorse a political party, and the media carried it as Rastafari endorsing a political party. And the council has to come out to, the council came out to indicate that no, as a body, we are not aligned with party A or party B, but individual members have their own affiliations. And so I think, yes, if a Rasta man, want to assume, want to enter parliament, either through party A or party B, or as an independent candidate, that is worth supporting, because whether we own politics or not, there are issues that affect us that is decided by politicians. Let's say decriminalization of the herb, our right to, even our right to with our dreadlocks. And when that conversation started, I think we must remind ourselves of something. When that conversation started, we noticed that one political party kept defending us in parliament. and the other kept disrespecting us in Parliament. And I think that to the extent that they can take that position, because mostly when you engage politicians, sometimes they ask you to give them sort of write-ups to defend their position, because most of them, it's like they are not learned in our ways. And so I think in that way, you can commend the NDC caucus for being able to influence their party to the extent that their parliamentarians have certain positions and can defend Rasta. Moving forward, if the MPP will also have us, I think it will do well so that in their manifesto, in preparing their manifestos, they also factor in what the ghetto youth, what the Rastafari, what the underprivileged, where a place where some of us identify these people, what their position is, and what their needs are. Because sometimes the politicians even find it difficult identifying the solutions to the problems of the community. And so if we are on board telling them that these are our problems and these are the solutions, it will help. But then as a national body, the Rastafari Council shouldn't be seen to endorse party A or party B, because like the presenter mentioned, it is necessary that we work with every regime and make sure that the needs of our people, irrespective of what power or what government is in power, the needs of our people are met. And so that is my position. My question again is, does it hurt for an individual Rastafari to say you want to go into parliament, then observing the political terrain in his constituency, things that being independent will not help me, but then affiliating with party A or party B can help me reach parliament? How bad is that? How does that affect the movement? I give thanks.
Radio culture.
Well, I was like of a view, like Son of Man was saying, if you want to choose on in the lines of like political parties, I think Radio Culture made a point that even if you look at some of them, they are colors. You know, those who do things that get from that end to end. But then I also made a point that there is no NPP caucus, and that is my problem. And I repeat again, if I see NDC caucus, I would love to see NPP caucus. I still stand by that. But now it seems you have something to say, so you can come in. Please unmute your mic, Mauli. Yes, sir.
Yes, can you hear me?
Radio culture.
Radio culture. Radio culture.
We can hardly hear you, please. Mm-hmm.
Hello? Yeah, present.
Yes, sir. Hello, talk, please.
Yeah, one minute, Ras, we can hear you. Come in. Yeah, keep moving now. Yes, people. Hello?
Greetings again. We are online, please.
Yeah, greetings. I'm calling from Kumasi, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we give thanks for the reasoning, you know. Yeah, Rastafari. Yeah, Bajatu. Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
yes, Virgin. Yes.
Come on. Yeah, me for instance, you know something. I'm with the party, and then I'm with the party. I have been a branch secretary for the NDC, a constituency organizer, and two-term communication officer. As I'm currently speaking, I'm a communication officer of Asuman-Ponua constituency, you know. And it's a time we, the Rastas, if we really mean power, because Honorable Marcus Garvey, once told us, no government recognize unorganized people. Selassie also organize and centralize. So it's a time we should come out. For instance, we are the most the revolutionary people on the earth. The system, which is this quite the supremacy system, we and I are their main target. So we can't put under our tree, you know, for them to always they take sex. Sometimes we should come out because we are tougher past them. And when we say party politics, it's those who are in it. Which is making it wrong. If the right people, they say if the righteous African come out, we can change things for better, you know. And now, everyone must realize the ruling power is with the political class. Yeah, the political party, they make decisions for everyone. So we can't sit. Because they say, if you allow foolish people to make laws, govern you are, then who you are. So we can't sit under our trees. Even though our spiritual help, we can't have, we don't have freedom to. If we are not able to free the helper, then we are not free. And now is the time. For instance, when we talk of Rastafari, it's all about black consciousness. And any conscious Rasta, let me tell you, any conscious Rasta will affiliate with the NDC, the National Democratic Congress. Because why? Because they are the Pan-African people. This new patriotic party represents white supremacy, colonialism, and imperialism. So if any Rasta who knows himself, who knows where he belongs, let's check all the freedom fighters from Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Sokoture, Patrick Nonumba, they are all Rastafari, you know. The same cause.
Radio culture. All right. Bridget's still there on, or I figure.
Yeah, you figure because he go offline.
I think he dropped. Okay, all right. So quick reaction. Wow. All right. First of all,
The Rastafari
okay, he came back.
Council conference. I told them there is nothing wrong if some Rastas also think the Rasta Kokotra. There's nothing wrong with it. But we're supposed to have a body like Rastafari Council, because it's intelligent for us to. That is the game. We come out with one accord, but with different direction. Yeah. If you hold to Rastafari ideology and philosophy, you can be with them, but all what you did. Because they say if you can't beat them, you join them.
All right, Bridget, give thanks.
So now is the time. If we really mean business here, we can't sit in our ghettos and this is the time they need us. So we're supposed to, plan.
All right, Bridget, give thanks. Give enough thanks. I'll pick it up from here. Give thanks. First of all, so I respect. All right, Bridging. Wolan, Bridging. Yeah, I think you've made a point. Let's move it forward. Yeah, you've made a point. Give thanks. So give thanks. So first of all, I think when we start getting to the area of if you are not of this ideology, then you are not Rasta, and we should try and shun that. I personally, I feel like as a Rasta man, it's hard for me as a Rasta man to align with the philosophy of the new patriotic party, to be very frank with you. But I'm not going to say that if somebody aligns with that he's not Rasta. That's dangerous. That's when it starts getting some type of way. You understand? Even though we know, say, ideology, when you look at the ideology, it's clear. And that's why I started talking about colors and all that. But again, I also mentioned, say, for somebody who has a personal issue, like I have a brethren whose parents went through hell during Rawlins's revolution. Now they are going to be forced to support Rawlins's party. It's hard. Let's acknowledge that. Let's give people that room. So let's not force and say that, oh, okay, if you are not this, then you are that. That's when it starts getting dangerous. That said, again, I think there's no NPP Rasta caucus because NPP and their ideology can hardly align with anything that Rasta stands for. That's a fact. And I'm not saying, say, you don't have your own fact. I'm just stating, right? Because we're looking at, let's kick back a little bit and let's do this. Why don't we define these political parties we are talking about, and then we'll know what they stand for? Otherwise, we are saying that if you go to South Africa, the ANC and the other party that's fighting for the political rights of the white people are the same thing. No, they are not, are they? So I think that we should scratch beyond the surface and go a bit deeper and look at what are these people? What do they stand for? And how they line up with our interests as a body, as Rastafari. Now here it is. If you look at the NPP, we know that first of all, if you kick back a little bit, during independence, their progenitors, they didn't want independence. They wanted independence on some type of terms, which we all know, say, wouldn't have. If that had happened, we had a historian on Radio Culture the other day. If their terms had happened, Ghana would have been Southern Ghana, like 3 regions, right?
Yes.
And then we have a party that is looking out for a broader mass of people. Kwame Nkrumah's party, today as we speak, there's a lot of turmoil within that party that still calls itself the CPP. But what Kwame Nkrumah stood for, who is representing that, who is carrying that forward? Let's be practical and pragmatic. For me personally, I'm not ready to stand and sloganeer for another 10, 20 years, 30 years, only for me to be holding a walking stick later and say, oh, and then my children are sloganeering the same thing. Believe me, some of the things we are saying here today, we said them when we didn't have gray hairs, when we were Legon and things like that. We're saying the same things. Now we are closer to that axis of power. We're closer to when we have a Dr. Sadia Nuhu, which we can all support and put in power, in parliament somewhere, right? And then what are the conduits that we can use to get that done? We can, like we have said here, we can form our own party, right? As Rasta, we can definitely do that. Form the party and force and push our way in there. Or as people who want to be pragmatic, look at what avenues are available and how we can tap into that. People are tapping into our avenues. Why can't we tap into theirs? Right? People see us as a body. If this NDC Rasta Caucus thing, you know why they take you seriously? Because they identify that you are a body. They need the numbers because they see the power that you have. They are tapping into us. So let's tap into them too, right? Rather than waiting and going to support NDC and be like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for NDC to come and legalize ganja. If we can do it ourselves, we do it ourselves. But if we don't have the wherewithal to do it right now, what is the smartest way to get that done? Again, like I said, if we start, and I agree with everybody that has spoken, everybody, right? And I'm reiterating some of the points that everybody has made so far. If we start saying, oh, NDC Rasta Caucus, NDC, you're kind of saying, MPP Rasta Caucus, it is a landmine. Because what if, along the line, another group of people come and justify why they like MPP so much? Chaos among ourselves. Let's just say Nipa 2, groups of people 2, yeah, or more agenda dada. More agenda no agenda separate. It's not wise. It's not wise. But it is also a two-edged sword, because at the same time, which political interest currently represent our political interests. And how do we align with them to make sure that those interests are achieved for us? That's where I stand. Now, a word of advice to the NDC caucus before I wrap up. The first thing I was expecting you to speak about or to demand, because you don't give your support for free. If you are going in there to support John Mahama, I haven't heard once the issue of marijuana being raised. And everybody knows that that is our biggest issue. You can bury your head in the sand. We know that's our biggest issue. Now, we know some of the things they say when they bring it back to us, but we should also know how to navigate that. For instance, we have freedom of worship in the country. We as racists, we can also identify as a spiritual, if not religious group, right? So do we have a right to the head for sacrament, for instance? So that if a policeman picks you up, for instance, Charlie, now they are promising all kinds of things. How hard is it for them to promise this? So if a policeman arrests you and you identify as a member of the Rastafari community, you should have a certain limit within which you should have some marijuana for sacramental use without suffering any punishment. Let's get the political parties to commit to things like this before we follow them. Then when they come out, then we can hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, Charlie, who guys are they? Yo, one year, next time, no, we'll feel stupid following you. Otherwise, what is it that we are looking for? Everything else that everybody else is looking for. And that's why I also agree that there's an NDC political caucus. Because, Rasta caucus, you know why? Because the country, let's face it, the country right now is in a state where we cannot sit aloof. We have to do something to rescue the country. And I think these people are chipping in their bit by doing that. I'll end there and let somebody else pick it from there. Give thanks.
Radio culture. If you can hear me, I'll chime in real quickly in support with some of the things Ras Kwasi was saying. It's what I was, excited to also press on. Is that if we have NDC, Rasta NDC caucus, Rasta MPP caucus, Rasta Cheddar, because he's also in the new force, we have to mention him too. So we have, if we are different parties, I think we'll be divided. I think it will be disaster, like Ras Kwasi said, So I think that we should be involved, but we should have a united front in our involvement. We should be one solid Rasta representation. And how we can do that is what we should be focusing on, to have our voices heard. So right now, I live in the United States. I live in Texas. And I have one of my brethren in one of the states that I know personally has it legalized in that state, and they have medical marijuana. So this brethren has a medical card that he takes to the doctor, and the doctor permits him to have his marijuana, with him. So if the police stop him, it's medical. He will not be arrested. He can carry, and he grows it. He has the license to also grow it for his personal consumption. See? So how is it that we Rastas have been fighting this for years and years and years? And others are, benefiting these things, and we are still being arrested and beaten on the streets. We are political force, but I'm saying that we are passive because our voice is not being heard. If we can sit on the policy making table, like one of our brothers said, and I agree with everything everybody has said too. But if we can be on the policy making table, that is where we'll be going. Yes, we're doing politics everywhere. Rastafari is always politics. We are talking about left and right. We are very strong and intelligent people amongst us. Let's take it to the policy table and talk to the policy makers. The brethren said, if you sit down for fools to make policies for you, who are you?
Radio culture.
Can I come in? Can I come in? Yes, sir. Can I come in?
Come in, please.
All right, nice. Okay, once again. So now, my question is, what is the difference between what we call Rasta caucus and Rastafarian as we have today? What's the difference? Because I hear the brother saying Rasta caucus. Are they two separate entities? Or
I think when they say Rasta caucus, then you mean the NDC Rasta caucus? Yes.
No. I mean before the NDC Rasta caucus, our brother said that before then they are Rasta caucus before they joined the NDC and they become NDC Rasta caucus. So this is the fear I was having from my first presentation, that if we are not careful, our front will be divided. Let us have one Rasta. Whatever you do is Rasta. Now, to my second point, what has been the achievement or the breakthrough of the NDC Rasta caucus as far as our Rasta needs are concerned? What has been it? Because I have read the NDC manifesto. I do not see anything that propagates or promotes Rasta. I haven't, maybe I may be wrong, but as I've read through the NDC manifesto, our NDC Rasta caucus brother is here. He said they've been affiliated to NDC for a long time. Now the question I want to ask him, can he read a line or a clause or a section in the NDC manifesto that seeks to promote Rastafari Council of Ghana, that seeks to meet any of our needs? We have a lot of needs, but which one need that NDC have put into their manifesto, that because you, Rasta caucus, NDC Rasta caucus, because you are with them, because you are with them in Kuma time or NDC Jerry's time, because of your efforts, because you've been meeting with them, because because you are with them, we will take this one problem that you, the Rastafarian, are saying we will take and solve. Is there anything in the manifesto like that? Thank you. I give thanks.
Yes, man.
It's getting interesting.
When I mean affiliate with the NDC, we all know that NDC, which is the National Democratic Congress organization by itself, Rasta caucus is also organization by itself, right? That's why we affiliate with them. And when you want to see anything in manifesto, it's a lot, because we affiliate with them. We say we are supporting the effort of the National Democratic Congress and providing a good governance and training the youth on agriculture, sanitation, and tourism. Skill acquisition, we have a lot, and we all seen. You can see it in it. In 2020 to 2025, we have something called People Manifesto, which is the entrepreneurship. We have so many ideas. Sometimes you write a policy suggestion to them, they will not write it exactly what you mean, but the ideas can be picked. You get what I mean? Yeah. So that's all. So if you mean like you never see anything in the manifesto, I can remember you, or I can show you a sign of agriculture, sanitation, tourism.
Can I back you up small? Can I back you up small? Let me back him up small. Let me back him up small, then you can continue, please. Okay, please. Because I think he made a point. So if you look at the NDC manifesto, right? We are, and I've not read the whole thing, but I'm just talking to you about certain things that I've had the opportunity to speak to some of them about. The 24-hour economy thing, I think, it is a boost for everybody. And now let's look at it like this. You may not see, this is something for Rastas as a body, right? But if we put ourselves in the collective as Ghanaians, as people who also have parents, who have families, who have wives and girlfriends, other people who live in Ghana, there are people who depend on you, right? So you want everything very nice in the country. Okay, now the 24-hour thing is there. More jobs for everybody who doesn't like that, right? Now, that's not even the thing. Look at a policy called the National Apprenticeship Program. That is where we have to tap in. And I will not be surprised that maybe, like you're saying, your ideas to them may have resulted in the formation of that policy. Because the NDC has a policy that they are going to start. Not everybody has the head to go to a classroom. Some people, if you put them in a classroom, because because they are oriented differently, right? So there are people who belong in a different area of apprenticeship. So the MDC says they will find tradesmen, and then they will give them the incentives to train people, right? So if you have a carpenter who's a very good carpenter, you put 20 youth under him in the community to train them. These kind of things is where we can tap in. I could go on and on, but if you say the policy way say they, I think that we would waste time if we're talking about that. Because truth of the matter is that if you take the NDC's manifesto and you break it down, there's a lot of things that you can say that we can tap into, even though it doesn't expressly say what you call it, Rastafari or anything like that. I'm sure if you go into the MPP's one tour, if you look hard enough, you may also find one or two things that we can also tap in, which is why we come back to the point that let's look at that very thing of the, tagging ourselves with the political way, say, because that's what I think that the discussion should be, as to whether it's necessary or as to whether it will extend the discussion, if you ask me. All right, so yeah, just that. Thank you, Brethren. I think you wanted to say something. Sorry for taking the window to say so.
So you see, there is what we call national policy.
Mm-hmm.
National policy are designed to affect the generality of the population. And there's what also we call targeted policy, which is designed to target a group of people and their needs. And so my point is that as Rastas, we have a specific needs. Which of the policy that have been propagated by the NDC meet our specific needs?
Maybe if you point out that particular problem, then we can align it, because it looks like you like I said, for instance, yes, and that's why I came in at some point to say I haven't heard them say that, and we are adding on to that, right? So rather than kickback, we already made that point. Say it's something that they need to add to whatever they're asking. But that aside, no, I think as racists, what really is our problem? What do we want? Let's address that. What do we want as racists? Okay, and then maybe once we identify that, then we can look at the policy of the different political parties and how they can affect how we can get what we want. What do we want? Because me personally, I want to see my people happy. I want to see Ghana as a prosperous country where people are not drinking dirty water, right? Now, if you have a government that has given out 1,500 mining licenses in 1 year, it's ridiculous. If you have a government that can deport 5,000 Chinese nationals because they were destroying the environment, versus a government that says, "Oh, I'm going to buy 3 billion, so bro, let's reason. Let's reason, because this is for the future generations of people. We can sit down and slogan long. We can sit down and say, okay, yeah, whatever it is, so racists, we are not supposed to be political, whatever. But at the end, what is happening? My grandmother is drinking cyanide-infested water. How do we stop that? That's my supporting NDC stop that? Yes, I will support NDC. And let me attack. Because I can say that no and sit down right now and have somebody who is trying to cover up for galamseyers and say it's a $3 billion in tea and yeshe, when the Bank of Ghana can steal $6 billion. Let's not be ignorant. Let's use our heads, Ross is saying ignorant. So we can consider some of this is okay for the sake of whatever. So the young can't say we NDCPP. But at the end of the day, am I going to vote for NPP? And I'm sorry to bring the names out. At this point, it be like we can't hide anymore. Am I going to vote for NPP to tell us, say, the vice presidential candidate is telling Galam, say, oh, Mutuma Yedi, Moshan fine, Bema Didi. Bro! Mahama, who practically deported 5,000 Chinese people. I met him in New York. I asked him the question, how do you feel after doing that? What do you think the impact is going to be? He said, hey, listen, China understands why I deported their people. Because we can't go to China and destroy the environment. I deported them because they did this. And now Safuma's government comes to power. We ask them, say, people, what's her name? Aisha, whatever her name is destroying the water bodies. What are we doing? Also, China is giving us $3 billion. So who will you vote for? Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my thing is
there are a lot of questions for you to answer.
Yeah, no, President Busa said, Charlie, Rastafari don't have to wait for a government. That's what I'm saying. We're making everything dependent on forces who don't have they're not thinking about what we need. Why do we have to wait on a government? This sounds extreme, or maybe not practical. So yes, okay, go ahead and support the party, and when it comes to time, vote for the party. Cool. But between now and then, make they continue rape my mother. Let's take it in that level of seriousness. My grandmother is drinking dirty water. It's like someone's raping my mother every day.
Basically.
That's how I see it. Am I going to sit around and say, well, I'm waiting for Yabetwaba before we go check who go, and if it wasn't guaranteed that they go stop rape my mother. So I'm saying, we're acting like our only option is going through this door. And I'm saying that Rastafari, the power and the attraction is coming from Selassie. Right? Let's take it seriously. If we be Rastafari people, we got genius. We got people where they think, where they imagine things. What would they say, what would they do to support the caucuses? If, let's say, there was even an NPP caucus, it'd be what would they do as a color? What ideas would they generate? If all our ideas be set pieces, already the things for everybody else to do, we're going to be in the same place. We can come up with a way where we're going to make interventions where you don't need to go to a government. The government will be forced to side with us. But right now, it's almost like if the government is going to move, then we're going to go with it, basically, right? If we're able to get this robust thing going on, it doesn't matter what government is in place. Rastafari will move things in any direction we want. I said, now it looks like why should I wait till November before we will make serious moves on this Galamsey thing? I mean, really, if we say we're revolutionaries, I'm sorry if I sound inflammatory or whatever, the implications might not be very peaceful, but we can think through it and come up with a system or a systematic approach to these problems. But unfortunately, we're just like good schoolboys and girls, conforming. This is what you do. This is what you can't do. Who created a nation state called Ghana? Not us. Let's face it. It's just the name that was changed. But that was a white people's project, and it still is. So if we say we're rebels and revolutionaries, these are things we should have to take seriously, right? Can't we come up with something? We're going to stop the Galamsey before November, or at least make moves, or give some indication that is not going to be tolerated. Why do we have to wait? And then they come in power, and they come in, and they're gone, and the thing is still happening. Then what? Are we going to be upset with the next government or them? Every single government that has come in Ghana has ended up as a failure to people. Let's face it.
To different degrees, though.
Earlier. What is Rastafari doing in spite of the regime?
So fire. Seven. I beg one sentence. I beg you. I promise. Fire. Just a reaction to what you just said, right? Somebody can pick my pocket, and somebody can hold a gun to my head and lick me down and take my wallet. I have the choice between the two. Which one would I choose? Enough said. Because all the governments fail, but we didn't see the sea turning brown under some governments.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. There's only so much we can do as a people. And I like to be pragmatic. Between now and November, we can make a lot of noise. We can do a whole lot of stuff. But pragmatically, practically, how are we going to solve that? Are we going to try to solve the issue between now and November? Or are we going to try to plan in such a way that the problem is solved a bit more permanently? Sorry, Bregin, you were going to
That's
go.
what I think the second one you said is what I'm talking about. It's as heated as I sounded. I'm saying, what the second one, are we going to plan? And this is going to be dependent on the party. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if we want to do. Do what whatever we're doing be dependent on a particular regime? That's what I'm thinking is problematic. We can work with them, but it shouldn't be dependent on them. That's all I'm saying.
Agree.
Yes, Queen. Unmute your Queen. Queen, you are still mute.
Different. We are saying that let's do something. For me, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Let's do something by any means necessary. Being a
yes, I will get something on air, right? Yeah.
What me as a Rastafarian, to be frank with you, we talk and talk and talk. We talk brilliant and we always talk. No action. No action. That is disheartening. So today going with this conversation is how do we affect change? Is it through politics? Is it through what means? We should have something going, something, effective going. As Rastafari for our nation. What is it that we're going to do?
Hello?
I'm for the politics and for any other
Hello?
thing that we can do.
Yeah, madam.
What is the way?
Mr. Malfoy, okay, sir.
She never broke a right.
One to Radio Culture. Yes, you're still logged into the discussion, the lecture. This is the question and answer time. I think in a short while the lecture will be wrapping up, but you're still logged into the Rastafari Council of Ghana lecture series, the bi-weekly lecture series. Today's speaker has been Kwasi Anokye, Ras Kwasi Anokye, and the topic is Rastafari and party politics. It's very, very heated up. It's very engaging right now. We're still in the question and answer session. If you're just joining us, please stay with us.
Transactional acquisition. Question God because of daily bread. Money can
meeting people with regard to the people manifesto. Even the Muslims and the Christians who have taken the nation as ransom also present. For instance, the chief imam present former President Mama with 11 to include in this manifesto. During that time, where was the Rastafari caucus? Because it's an opportunity for us also to,
all right.
So it's a time we're supposed to move forward because we get the opportunity. For instance, our brothers and sisters who are disabled, they're able to agitate for their rights. And in the national policy and everything, they include them. Why I and I can't also? Because we get the opportunity, we contact many people for us also to present our manifesto. It's a big opportunity. They go around the whole nation. Where were the Rastas? So it's a drama. Marcus Garvey, speak about.
Exactly the question I was asking. If we have why didn't they put anything in the manifesto that would fix the goodness of Rasta? Why?
Please,
unmute. Please take it out.
Let's allow them to make their point and then we can also come in. With all due respect, with thanks.
Can I finish making my point? I don't know if I'm on the speaker or did I mute myself?
You are online now.
Yes.
Sorry, the brother interrupted me, but anyway, I was trying to say that I am ready. I'm ready for us to work and to see action, because it hurts my heart that for Rastafari, we talk and we talk good talk, but very little action. So I'm ready for action. I've joined the NDC Texas chapter for the NDC caucus representation. Please link up with me on this reason, and you know, yeah.
I'm coming.
Where's my horn sound?
Let me lie. For a long time, you know, Rasta, we say, oh, Rasta won't do this. Rasta, we said a lot of won't do. Now I live in Texas. You know, we say, oh, school, won't work for the government, won't do all of that. I'm involved with all of that. And then I went to school. And as Kwasi mentioned, I got my PhD in psychology, community service, and leadership. Okay? I did this for Rastafari. That's what I did this for. I did this so that, you know, they will stop referring us as, not us, but they refer us as riffraff, you know, they see us as, you know, we don't go to school with our dirty, you know, our dirty hair. No, that's not what we are. So we want to prove to them, you know, we have something to offer. So that's what I did. I want to be a Rastafari woman that is educated. I'm a doctor and effect change. So I'm ready. Please link up with me. Let this conversation progress into action, not just talking. Thank you.
Yes, we don't talk without action, you know. Yes. I hear people saying, well, it's Rasta in the People Manifesto or the Manifesto of NDC. Let me tell you, all the youth manifesto in the manifesto, it was the idea of Rasta caucus, because we give them our policy suggestions, and whoever comes to me, we have it. I have a copy. We gave it to them, and we are creating bases in the ghettos, the pride areas, and slums, streets. So I not tell you nothing lie. You should just contact NDC Rasta Caucus or Rasta Caucus. Contact us, and you will get to know our documents, what we have done for NDC. NDC never let us out. They enter our policy suggestion in their People Manifesto. Trust me. So let's all come together and fight one fight. You see, yeah.
Radio, culture.
Yes, sir.
I thought we called him more. Ete mumame.
I'm about to your comments, suggestion, any contributions, maybe. Daddy B wa ha yente nka
Yente Dr. Upon what your son count.
Yente Dr. Songa
yente monka yente mon nekra iti apamucho yaka bebre ya besti yente monka Daddy B profile apamucho mon fa mo voice nka na presenter never mind a summary and I say the closing remarks na ya di bibia bawe.
Radio, culture.
Come on now, encourage us and feed your memory. Father, what does a sucker mean to you? The sister mean to you?
I'm the prof.
Yeah. Kofi Ashanti.
Yes, right, son of man.
Yes, I have a brethren who also want to contribute, you know. Yes, among the Rasta Caucus members as well. So he's here to talk, you know.
Yeah, my lord, good thanks for this moment, you know. Yes, King, let's hear from you.
You hear me?
And I think that for me.
Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, Ras. Yes, Ras, we can hear you. Yeah, Raz, we can
All right.
if you can make your remarks before Prof. That will help. So please a short comment and then Prof will come in.
Oh, I am using Son of Man's account. Can you hear me?
Yes, Raz, we can hear you. So go ahead.
All right, this is Bobo Jude speaking.
Rastafari.
The last year I the first, my lord. All right, Son of Man has been reasoning with me about the Rasta purpose, you see. And initially when I heard the vibe, I was like, okay, let me get more understanding. But what I got from him, right, the understanding I got from him was Rastafari Caucus is an organization that he really set, right? But because he wanted to do political works, and Rasta is not so recognized, he intended to affiliate himself with NDC because NDC has a little Pan-African meditation through J.J. Rollins, you see? And upon natural, we love J.J. Rollins as Rasta because we have been dealing with him for a long time, despite he became a president. So he affiliated with NDC so he can be able to do the works. Now, with the understanding I got from him, he said the NDC recognized the Rasta caucus, right? And then he has been setting base. The work they do is they go around the districts and the constituency. So he made me know that they've been able to gather so many members in different constituencies, and they call them bases, right? And if you can ask him the amount, I think he has some amount of bases that they have really gathered people. That when they go there, the people don't see them as NDC people. They see them as Rasta caucus, right? So sometimes when they go to places, the people are like, oh, NDC party, then it's like, oh no, we're Rasta. You see, Rasta caucus. But the idea is, the affiliation is to try to get members. So the members that we're gathering, the bases now, they know they are Rasta caucus members, right? So his idea is, after getting all these bases in all the constituency, then his idea is to set a political party called the National Rasta Caucus, which is different from NDC. So that idea really made me interested. So like, oh my lord, yeah, as you say, it is some idea because Rasta they talk about, just like the sister said, we the fire burn everything and we fire burn ourselves, and now we go down the drain. So some Rasta will say, yeah, crying fire burn go school because school is Babylon. But my lord, yeah, come bro. Yanko school anka. So my lord, my voice to this thing is, me personally, I see that the Rasta caucus thing is a strategy where he's using, but a lot of people are not really getting closer to really get the idea about what he's really doing. He's saying he's trying to set a political party because he has been following politics for a long time, but he's trying to see a strategy that Rasta can enter. That's why he's just affiliated with. It's not like an stand of more a big Rasta man. When you say in your politics, you're not even your pony. But say, how can we intrude into this thing? Because council has said it from long time. You see, Echumano, my lord, son of man, Sisia, no, which me have a no affair, I say don't get ya. What I say, any simple anymore. Sometimes yeah, pelling stay a baby. Yeah, that's the Rasta no they go forward. Rasta, you know, we say Rasta no they go forward. We say, we know they try see the strategy where we go take in truth. You see, me, I understand him say, oh, honestly, this thing, a lot of people will come against it. But me, the understanding I get, and they say, also, you see strategy be, the beba. So let's understand the thing. Yeah, criticism will come in everything you want to do. But Rasta, we have overcome criticism. The thing is, let's understand the movement. Or see, Rasta says to a political party. So game, make me to we enter the thing.
Because, see, it has been long, my lord. Let's find time and get closer to Son of Man, because me, they understand, or say, I don't know, form of cocotte, I don't start to say, or bring you breakfast, be no more around, you understand? But some kind of vibes, some people know they understand. And then it's like, say, the other political parties, the NDC members too are recognizing, but they are realizing, say, as Rasta is coming in, some one or two vibes are coming among the races. And into watching, so honestly, you can see this time, if you can ask the members and the people in the Rasta.
You're still listening to Radio Culture. You're still listening to the tail end of the reasoning, the Rastafari Council Education Committee lecture series, the bi-weekly lecture series. Today's lecture was on the topic Rastafari and party politics. The speaker was Ras Kwasi Anokye, aka 7 Fireside, and we're just about wrapping up the discussion. Stay tuned, and thank you very much for doing the listening.
They felt useless, but your political power play unipolar.
That was set. It is man and man put them heart together. It's just like Ethiopia World Federation, which His Majesty said, but he put man and man together. So any name can come. It's just the energy and the force behind it. So what he is saying is, Rastafari caucus affiliate with NDC now, so say basis in the constituencies. So now, Ochenuhua also he has members.
All right.
Saying National Rasta Caucus. That is the idea I got from him. So that is why I'm also just here. I am supporting this caucus meditation. So give thanks, my Lord.
It's been a long while since we heard from you. We give thanks.
Yeah, my Lord. I give thanks.
Every time. So we wanted to take input from Prof. Wiro and Daddy B. Our time is far advanced, and then we'll call the things down.
Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah, but I hope you got my vibe all right.
No. Full time, Ras. We do get it. You are supporting the caucus, and we appreciate respect.
Keep that, my Lord. Bless you.
Prof. Wiro, please.
Yes, sir.
You are ready.
Yeah, man. I'm asking you to give thanks. Can the item hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Give thanks. So, give thanks for the reasoning still. I think that foundationally, we have to look at certain things. In terms of what informs our Rastafari thinking. And first and foremost is what we will call an ideology, right? Or the way we think, Black self-determination, Black supremacy, right? Okay, having said that, a lot of the things that we've talked about, I think one of the main things we try saying, which has not really fully come out, is that what are we articulating as Rastafari on the national scene? Who are we and what do we want? Now, if we answer that question, also don't forget, say, we are a very strong part of the society if we want to be, right? And we don't necessarily need a political party to substantiate that. Rastafari in our own right is political, but not necessarily multi-party political, right? So, what do I mean by this? Let's take Galamsey, for example. Everybody's talking about Galamsey is bad, we agree. But so far, I don't hear anybody asking the question, who is buying the gold where they mine from the Galamsey pit? Now, when we compare Ghana right now as it stands to the days of our parents and our grandparents, there's one thing that me and I see. Say our parents and grandparents thought in terms of internationally, how things affected us as a people. For us today, we see that everything is more localized. We look at things and say, oh, this is the NPP's fault, or this is the NDC's fault. But the question is, who are the people behind moving things and making things be the way they are in the society right now? And this is where I think Rastafari comes in. We have to articulate to the people how these international forces are impacting the way things occur in our local society. And with that, we are a force to be reckoned with. Secondly, let's not forget, so when it comes to youths in the ghetto, or if we are an organized force of people, what we say, they will follow more than what any political party says. Now, I understand how some people articulate the idea, say that is a strategy. Fine, we have to use all strategies that are available to us, but we also think of ourselves as lower, we think of ourselves as hierarchy. We hire, right? So if we hire, then we have to be articulating our positions in a way that whether you are MPP or NDC, when you come, you have to attend to our demands and what we want. Now, they say manifesto and change. When Rastafari speak in such a way, say, before you come power, you go not say, you for do something to what the Rastafari they speak. So what would they articulate? What do we want? Do we want an agricultural policy in place? What does it look like? Do we want an entrepreneurship or youth development policy in place? What do they look like? What will they do with all the arable lands? What will they do with transportation? We articulate this as Rastafari. We don't need nobody to do this. We can do this on our own and be recognized as the force that we are, instead of coming under. Because the thing we know to ask ourselves to, we say, this idea of party politics, where does it come from? Right? It's not coming from Haile Selassie. It's not coming from Rastafari. And then the problem with that is that when there is something that is coming from a particular kind of thinking, an ideology that has never worked in the interest of I and I black people, what is the guarantee that it will work for I and I today? We have to set the thing up our own self, and we already have it, but we just have to be more firm and be more articulate in our demands. We have the red, gold, green. We have the red, black, green. That is the foundation on which we stand. And if we don't move out of that foundation, right, we articulate what we want. And I think that will require us to sit down and say, whatever government will come into power, and I know say the ganja issue be an issue, but that will be the only issue. Whatever government will come to power, how can we hold their legs to the fire to make sure, say, they do certain things for the country and for Africa at large? So that be the thing we at see. Now, we started by talking about, Kwame Nkrumah and thing. And really, this whole divided ideology with the going on for Ghana has been going on for a very long time. Kwame Nkrumah before 1962 had already faced 48 assassination attempts. Just think about that for a minute, right? And this man set it up for I and I. Today, are we studying this man's teaching? If we say we are studying Marcus Garvey, we say organize and centralize. We say we study Selassie, organize and centralize. How are we putting this into action? And more time, we will focus more on my brother step on my toe, so me and you no go sit at the same table. But how we no go sit at the same table and really come say, okay, Rasta want this. This is what Rastafari want. Let's come as a front and present it to whoever is in power. Make sure that we are getting what we want. And not just what we want as Rastafari, but what we want for the nation as Ghana and by extension, Africa. So, that'll be my few words for right now. I don't want to take too much time, but give thanks for the vibes. Yes, I.
Okay.
Give thanks, my Lord, same way, for the vibes and for deepening the reasoning. Daddy B, before you come in, Molly is here. He hasn't spoken. Organizer, please do, and then Daddy B will give us. So Molly, if you are here, you've not spoken. Togbe, are you there?
We later and then people are coming inside.
Will you wrap up? Oh?
Yeah, Bubuju, we are running down, so we just want a minute from each, and then we can call it down because the meeting started at 7 and
it's past time. It's past the allotted time. We need to be wrapping up by now.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, Mauli, can you just touch? Can you just come in and then we call on Daddy B to give his final words? Seems Mauli is having problems. So Daddy B, please. Your words for the reasoning. We haven't heard from you, so you can get a comment from you. We'll be pleased, and then the presenter will give us. Greetings, my lord.
Yes, and I give thanks for the reasoning. I couldn't catch the start of the presentation, but I have an idea where it went. And, I give thanks for the comments around the table. What it is we need to have more of such engagement so that we can understand where we are and where we need to get to. So I give thanks for the diverse opinions and everything. And I look forward to we actually participating on a certain level. What I particularly like is a point that Prof. Shuro made, where he was saying, even as a people, we are a political force already. That doesn't do it. But
memory, nostalgia, childhood assumption.
Hello, Daddy B, you're on hold.
Headless one, no monarchy was your hinterland.
My lord, Daddy B, please can you check your line again?
Moments of the history that we don't forget. Rastafari for
the can't even hear you.
Fresh connect.
I think he may have been receiving a call or something.
Unexpected places, something on a horsey heart. How you remember this year's setbacks, liberation. How you tell yourself to come back. Situation.
Yeah, I think he's having challenges with his line. Okay, he's back.
That is right. Okay. What I was basically saying is that the conversations have been insightful, and I look forward to a position where we'll be able to play our role as a people, non-aligned as a body, non-aligned as a body that is articulating the issues of concern to our people and seeking positive action to address them, and then ultimately ensuring that our state as Ghana contributes to the realization of African unity. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my lord. Please, the presenter, if we can get your closer remarks. Ras Mauli, you are still struggling to speak, so
can we have Ras Mauli?
Ras Mauli, can you come in? Dogby, can you
make your proxy war? Grudges was the burdens of humanity. Comparison and so competition. Communicate to be understood.
Mauli, are you there?
Trading blind spots.
Ras, seems you're having challenges with your network, so we'll take the final remarks from the presenter and we'll wrap up. give thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to give thanks for the reasoning. So much to work with. But I think one thing where they stand out, we say, Haile Selassie is the power of the true unity, right? That means that's why there's all this power that we get. So I feel say we have to support those who are trying to work with the parties. We have to have certain understandings, because right now it doesn't look like if something's that happening with the NPP side of things. I don't know if people will immediately support that, because right now it looks like NDC is the one that's got the colors and the symbolism, but we know how that doesn't mean much after a certain point. So if we could come back to it, to the Lion of Judah himself, to Selassie himself, and stand in that position and not let anything be dependent on other forces, but our own thing we want to do, just like how quite a number of us have already said, support people based on what they want to do. But we also have to generate our own ideas. What do we want? What be our own interests? Where sometimes they exceed what the party they do. Yes, we're forced to reckon with those. Initially, I was talking about Ras Brown in Jamaica. That time Rasta was not a massive movement, but the government realized that even today, Rastas are not the majority in Jamaica. As much as they're very visible, they're relatively a minority in terms of numbers, But Ras Brown made moves, and the government of Jamaica was busy trying to co-opt Rastafari, trying to shut it down. They couldn't, and they decided to divide us with this idea of non-political and political, So we understand the power where we walk with. And it's not because of us, our education or anything, our experiences. It's because of King Selassie, And I think if we tap more into that, like what is Selassie ideas about this? Selassie didn't have any room for multi-party politics. His Majesty worked with all sorts of political angles. We know that. Look at how he handled African unity and all that. So it's King Selassie we work with. For premise all this on King Selassie. And there's plenty to work. Sometimes we look there, we don't see much. So we started jumping on other things that are sensational, more interesting. This seems more pertinent, more pragmatic. But everything Selassie do, and there's plenty of things to do for us to study. A lot of them reasonings is published. If we take our time to reason through this, we come up with ideas. We are inspired to do things. So everyone might stand on this thing, So yes, we'll support anyone where they do things where they interest us, where it benefit our interests, so to speak. But we stand for Rastafari and what our Rastafari interests we're pushing, just like how the Idrins just before us were saying. If thanks.
Give thanks. My lords and empresses, we appreciate your time for joining the reasoning. We'll announce the next topic. We have to do a little confirmation. We'll announce the next speaker and the next topic in due time. Empress Marina was supposed to speak for the 29th of October on her topic, but then I'll do some confirmation and then I'll get back to the committee, the Rastafari community, on our topic and presenter for our subsequent lecture. But I want to appreciate my lords and empresses, your time and most importantly, the presenter for sharing his research work with us. So my lords, we appreciate all your presence. Ja Rastafari. So we'll call it tonight.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. This has been 2.5 hours of riveting reasoning. As I stated earlier, today's bi-weekly lecture was presented by Ras Kwasi Anokye, aka 7 Fireside, and the topic was Rastafari and party politics. This has been one of the most insightful, I should say, reasonings that I have attended in this series. And I know that the next one can only get better. Thank you very much for tuning into Radio Culture. If you are watching us on social media, we do thank you also. Thank you very much. We will see you when we see you as appointed. My name is Kwesi Esonbakuja, beloved. One more time, thank you and catch you soon.